Hi there, my name's Alana and here at Classy on the Run, we love talking about luxury and high-end makeup and beauty. And you could say that I use my channel as a way to justify my crippling Charlotte Tilbury addiction. Okay, maybe that is a little bit of an exaggeration, but we definitely love talking about Charlotte Tilbury here on my channel. Lately I've received a few requests for some Charlotte Tilbury dupes. So over the course of the last month or two, I've been really working through my drugstore and my Charlotte Tilbury collection to figure out what are the best dupes that I can recommend to you. And I am really excited about the dupes that I have in stock. Now, one side of my face is Charlotte Tilbury and the other side is drugstore. I will give you a quick hint that my brows and my eye makeup are not included in today's dupes. In today's dupes, we are mainly focusing on complexion and a little bit on lips. And if you guys enjoy this video, let me know because I have an entire basket of lip dupes right here that I'd love to share with you in another video. I'll give you a second to guess which side is which. Okay, leave it in the comments. Okay, so this side is Charlotte Tilbury and this side is drugstore. So in today's video, we will start by applying the makeup. Then we'll take a look at swatches, and throughout the day I'll do some check-ins so we can see how the makeup wears. Because I think the biggest test for a makeup dupe isn't that it looks the same for a quick picture on Instagram, it's that it wears the same throughout the day. And generally speaking, that's where I find the biggest difference between high-end and drugstore makeup. So without any further ado, let's start my makeup and then we will check in all day. I've already done my brows, my eyeshadow, and my concealer. So we're going to be starting off with foundation. On our Charlotte Tilbury side, we have Light Wonder in shade 2. And on our drugstore dupe side, we have CoverGirl Clean Fresh in the shade 520 Fair. So that is Charlotte Tilbury and that is the CoverGirl. And as you can see, CoverGirl is so much more liquidy. So I'm gonna stop holding my hand like that. I'd say off the bat that these are a pretty good match. I will say that the CoverGirl side feels a little bit more luminous. And I'm not saying that Light Glow is matte, but it's definitely not as glowy as CoverGirl. Next up, we'll be using the bronzer from Filmstar Bronze and Glow. For our bronzer, we're going to be using the Matte Manoy Butter Bronzer from Physicians Formula. I will say I feel a little bit more sculpted on the Charlotte Tilbury side, but I don't know. I think they both look pretty good. I think if you saw me walking down the street, you wouldn't think that I have two different sets of makeup on my face. This is the dupe I'm most excited to share with you. So on our Charlotte Tilbury side, we'll be going in with First Love, which is a two-tone blush. And on our drugstore side, we'll be going in with 2 shades of the Maybelline Fit Me blush. So we're gonna start with the outer kind of peachy layer here. And we're just going to build it up on our cheeks for a little bit of a sculpted blush. So to match the outer shade of the Charlotte Tilbury blush, we're going to be going in with Buff. To match the inner shade, we're going to be going in with the shade Nude. These feel like a pretty good match to me. I'm pretty pumped. This feels pretty similar. I will say that with the Maybelline, I felt like I needed to build up the color a little bit more. I did find the Charlotte Tilbury a little bit more pigmented. Again, I don't think that you can really tell that I'm wearing different makeup on different sides of my face. For our highlighter, we'll be comparing the Charlotte Tilbury Holiday 2021 highlighter with the Catrice Sungasm. So these are two massive pans of highlighter, and as you can see, they look pretty similar. Off the bat, the Catrice one does seem a little bit more champagne-y, whereas Charlotte seems a touch more pink. I think I actually like the Catrice glow more. I mean, just look at that. Like, look at that part of my face. And we still get some glow from the Charlotte, but the Catrice one, I mean, guys, this is why Catrice is one of my favorite drugstore brands. For our powder, we'll be comparing the Flawless Setting Powder and Maybelline's Fit Me. My Flawless Setting Powder is in shade 1. After applying the products, while they do look quite similar, I will say that when I put the Maybelline on my face, it instantly felt dry and almost a little bit of a constricting feeling. It didn't feel very comfortable. Whereas with the Charlotte powder, when I put it on, it's just light as air and I don't feel anything at all. And in fact, in general, I can say that this side of my face feels a little bit tighter now that I've put that powder on, and this side of my face feels absolutely normal. On our Charlotte side, we'll be wearing Charlotte Tilbury's iconic Pillow Talk lipstick. And on our drugstore side, we have a relatively new launch from L'Oreal. This is from the L'Oreal Color Riche line. It's in the shade Nude Intense 173. On this side, we have Charlotte Tilbury's Pillow Talk. Pillow Talk is in her Matte Revolution formula. And on this side, we have the L'Oreal lipstick. The L'Oreal lipstick is definitely glossier. It's not quite a gloss, but it's not nearly as matte as Pillow Talk. I'd say that's the biggest difference, but if you're looking for a color to dupe the vibe, then you can't go wrong with L'Oreal. So for these comparison swatches, on this side we have high-end and on this side we have drugstore. So here we have Pillow Talk compared to the L'Oreal color, and as you can see, the L'Oreal color is a touch glossier, but really quite similar on the arm. When it comes to the highlighters, again, we have the Charlotte Tilbury and the Catrice. The Charlotte is deeper and the Catrice is a little bit more opalescent. For the blush, first we have the outer shade from Charlotte Tilbury and then the corresponding shade from Maybelline, and then the inner shade from Charlotte Tilbury and the corresponding shade from Maybelline. As we can see, the biggest difference here is that the Maybelline is a little bit rosier, a little bit deeper, but again, on the cheek, it really works out. I do find these blushes, when you're applying them with a brush on your face, lighter coverage, so I do find it looks quite similar on the face. Then we have the Charlotte Tilbury bronzer and the Physicians Formula matte bronzer. The Physicians Formula is a bit more of a warmer tone. I find that the tone of the Charlotte Tilbury Filmstar Bronze and Glow is impossible to match. Then we have Light Wonder and the CoverGirl foundation. The CoverGirl foundation, this particular shade is a little bit rosier, but I do find that it oxidizes just a touch to look pretty similar on the face as a decent shade match. And it is a little bit more sheer, a little bit more runny. So here we have the swatch from Maybelline, and here's the swatch for Charlotte. As you can see, the Charlotte powder is a lot lighter, whereas you get a little bit more kickback from the Maybelline. In terms of the shades, I'd say the Maybelline is a little bit lighter and a little bit more yellow, whereas Charlotte has a touch more radiance. The Maybelline powder is definitely a matte. So check-in one, it's been about an hour, and again, we have the Charlotte Tilbury on this side and the drugstore on this side. I am wearing the Natasha Denona Mini Glam palette, I think, Mini Nude. I'll put it here. I'm wearing a Natasha Denona Mini palette on my eyes, Charlotte Tilbury brows, and everything else is what we put on this morning. So overall, I think everything is wearing well. Again, this is it in natural light. I'm really, really impressed by that, by the highlighter from Catrice. I think that is really beautiful. You can just kind of see that glow. And the Charlotte one's nice, but I do like the Catrice one better. And then the lips are a little bit different, but neither has really worn, and I haven't eaten anything. I am about to have a cup of tea, so I wanted to film this before, but I think it looks good. It looks good on Zoom. So it is 3 in the afternoon. I mean, obviously the lips are gone. That's because I've had 2 cups of tea, a can of Diet Coke, and I had Thai curry for lunch, so obviously lipstick was not surviving that. But the complexion looks great. Again, that Catrice highlighter, stunning. Still some nice glow on the Charlotte side. No real coverage breakup. No real signs of wear. I don't know. I think both sides of my face look pretty good. Anyways, I will be checking in a few more times, and just so you guys know, normally I wear my Charlotte Tilbury airbrush setting spray, but I'm not wearing any of the setting sprays today because I just wanted to see how the makeup does on its own. But honestly, I'd say I feel super pretty on both sides, and yeah, and I think it's holding up well. Well, it is 12:30 in the morning. My makeup has been on my face since 8:30, so it's definitely been in for a long, long day. Now, just a note, the eyebrows, mascara, and eyeshadow are not a part of our wear test, so we're really looking at lips and complexion. Off the bat, The lipstick was gone by the middle of the day, but neither of the lipsticks promised, 24-hour, 12-hour wear or what have you. They're both just plain bullet lipsticks. I would guess that the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk lipstick would last a little bit longer than the L'Oreal, but that's really only because the Charlotte Tilbury is a matte and the L'Oreal is more of a satin. Now, both of these lipsticks were fine and well right up until I decided to have a hot cup of tea and then some Thai curry for lunch. And then by the time I was done my tea and my lunch, of course, there's no lipstick anywhere to be found. But I think that's a pretty normal expectation. I found that both lipsticks had a fine wear time. They look great. They look good on camera for my first couple of Zoom calls. So while I would not consider each of the lipsticks to be an exact dupe, mainly because, as I mentioned, the Charlotte Tilbury lipstick is a matte and the L'Oreal is more of a luminous or a satin lipstick. So they're not quite dupes, but I think they're very, very similar. I would definitely consider them as something that dupes the vibe. If you like the Pillow Talk color, but you're looking for something with a touch more glossiness, maybe a little bit less matte, then definitely check out that lipstick. But overall, I think they're both beautiful, neutral, pretty, and polished, so they're both a win in my books. Without a doubt, the other big winner was the highlighter. Now, the Charlotte Tilbury highlighter is very pretty. I have no complaints about it, but I was super impressed by the Catrice highlighter. Other than, of course, the swatches and the color in the pan, one thing that really drew me to viewing them as something that could possibly be a dupe is just their size. So if you're the kind of person who's not just looking to highlight your cheeks and your nose and the high points of your face, but you're really looking for that all over glow, that sort of like that supermodel red carpet, you're looking for some glow in your décolletage, then with either of these highlighters, you definitely have that really large pan, which is what you're looking for when you're looking to highlight your body. So definitely they both win on that front, but I was just super impressed by the glow that we found on Catrice. Now let's talk about the blush. The blush, I would definitely say high end is the winner. So on this side we have our Charlotte Tilbury blush duo, and on this side we have our Maybelline. And while on application they did look very, very similar, and even for our first couple of check-ins they looked pretty good, I would say that at this point in the night the Maybelline blush is pretty faded. Now, one of the things I will say, the biggest difference between a high-end and a drugstore blush is its staying power. So nothing really left here. I don't think you could even really tell that I was wearing a blush. But on this side you still see that blush, you still see the sculpting. It's worn beautifully, so I'm definitely going to say for blush that Charlotte Tilbury wins. Now for the bronzer, it's very, very similar to the blush. I found that the Physicians formula didn't quite have the same staying power. I'll also say, as I mentioned earlier, that the Physicians formula bronzer is a touch warmer. And so it's great if you're looking for more of that bronzed look. But with the Charlotte Tilbury, I find that she really gives me a wonderful sculpt. And as we can see in this close-up, you're not really seeing any Physicians formula left on that side of my face. But over here, we're still seeing that sculpting and that definition. Now, when it comes to the powder, I will say that the Maybelline powder definitely kept me more matte and more flat throughout the day. However, I also found it very drying and rather uncomfortable on my skin. Now, I do have very dry skin and am rather sensitive to products that are drying on my face. So I think that if you have more oily skin, you're probably really going to enjoy the Maybelline powder. But personally, for my skin type, I do find the Charlotte is a lot more comfortable. And I really don't mind that it doesn't leave my skin looking as mattified because I do prefer a more radiant and glowy look. And that brings us to foundation. So once again, on this side we have Charlotte Tilbury's Light Wonder, and on this side we have CoverGirl's Skin Milk. Now, between the two of them, I will start by saying that they've both worn beautifully throughout the day. So there's no real patchiness, there's no real clinging to dry spots, there's nothing where it has faded throughout the day that it looks messy. One of the things I'm looking for in makeup, and especially in makeup for every day, especially makeup if you are going to work and you need it to kind of last the whole day, I really hate it when the foundation fades to be patchy. I'll start by saying that with the CoverGirl, there was no oxidization, which is fantastic. I find a lot of drugstore foundations can really oxidize and turn orange on me, and that's something that I tend to steer clear of. So on that front, they both stayed true to my skin tone. They looked good all day. They looked beautiful. They looked luminous. They looked glowing. I will say that CoverGirl has ever so slightly settled into some of my fine lines here and is showing a little bit of texture here, which I'm not experiencing on this side of my face with Charlotte Tilbury. Now that is probably just me being incredibly nitpicky, because I will say that up close, I think they both look beautiful. So I would actually be willing to call these a tie, which I'm pretty impressed by it. I know that a lot of people are divided on this foundation, but I've always found that it's worked really well for me. So if you are looking for a light, glowy, luminous, kind of everyday lighter coverage foundation and you're not looking to break the bank, I would definitely consider the CoverGirl Clean and Fresh. I will say one thing that I think benefited the wear of both foundations was properly preparing my skin prior to the application of makeup. So I did use my Charlotte Tilbury Magic Cream, of course, all over my face, just to make sure that my skin was hydrated before we applied them. So there we have it, some beautiful complexion dupes for Charlotte Tilbury makeup products. If you like dupe content, definitely subscribe because I do have another Charlotte Tilbury dupe video in the works where we're going to be focusing more on her lip products. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you haven't already, please subscribe and I'll see you next time. Bye. Mwah.